Hi, welcome back to another Young at Art at Home project. My name is Sylvie from Steamboat Creates, and today we are going to be making sun prints. I wanted to take advantage of all this beautiful sun that's been coming out this spring and do this with just some simple materials. Most important part is construction paper. You can try it with a few different colors of construction paper. You may notice that some colors are going to work better than others. And it all depends on the kind of ink they use to dye the paper to make it the color that it is. So I recommend trying it with a few different colors. The next thing you'll need is some tape, and a Scotch tape will work best so that it's clear. Otherwise, you might end up with a print of the tape on the paper. And the next thing you want to do is go outside and find some stuff. You could do this with things you find in your home as well, like plates or toys or buttons or beads, anything like that. I went outside, since it's so beautiful, and found some dandelions and rocks and an old bough of a, looks like a spruce tree. And I'm going to use those things to make my print. The sun print is a cool way to explore the negative space. So what the process looks like is putting down something on the piece of paper, and we will tape it down so that it doesn't blow away, because then we're going to set it outside. Actually, this one looks a little better. And you'll notice something here. I have put this on facing down. So the dandelion is facing down. I will also try one facing up. Something else that you can have that is handy is a pair of scissors, so that as you are working on your print, you know how. Something else that can be handy while working on this print is a pair of scissors, because then you can cut off a piece of the bough and get a smaller bit. You can cut off the stems of the dandelion so that you can use both the stem and the head of it. So I'm going to try, and this piece of tape is a little bit small for that dandelion, so I'm going to get a longer piece to be able to secure it. And the experiment here is the difference between that dandelion being face up versus face down. The reality is the sun is going to bleach out any of the paper that you can see. And it's going to stay this orange color underneath whatever you tape on. So you'll end up with what looks like a shadow of what you put on the paper. So you want to tape down as much as you can so that you can see the difference between what is exposed to the light and the paper you can see versus what's covered up. And it's going to give the shadow of what you cover up. So this could be something that you make patterns with at first, and then you get once you get the hang of it, you can then go and make more of an image. I encourage you to make something like your favorite vacation spot out of these materials, or your favorite animal. You can get really creative with putting things together and then experimenting with what it looks like once you take it all off to see the sun print that's left. So now I'm going to keep taping more of my creations on. I'm going to end up using some of these that I cut off the dandelions at the bottom of my page. Now I have covered this page with different pieces of nature, and I've taped them all down, and we are going to get to see the sun bleach this paper all around those different shapes, and then it's going to leave the shadows of those shapes on the page when we take them off. I also did a pattern on this paper so that I could try the blue as well as the orange. The next step is to take these out into a sunny spot and leave them for about 4 hours. And you can always test it to see if the sun has picked up the color enough by lifting up a little bit of what you have on your page to see if you have that shadow, that print of it dark enough. The longer you leave it out in the sun, the darker that print is going to look compared to the rest of the page that'll get bleached out from its color. A couple tips when you put it outside, because it can be windy, I recommend either finding some bigger rocks to put down on the corners. Keep in mind, where that rock is covering the page, it is also going to create the print, and you'll see that shape of the rock wherever you set them. But a big rock is a great idea. If you have a deck or something that some tape will stick well to, you could also take some tape and do this trick by rolling it and put it underneath the paper so that when you push it down onto the deck, it stays where it is. If you do that, you'd want to make sure you put it in all 4 corners so that it's strong enough to withstand any wind that might come by. So the next step is to put it outside for about 4 hours. And then once it's bleached enough, we're gonna bring them back in and take off all of these pieces we've taped down, and the sun print will be revealed. I hope you have fun with this and enjoy the sun while you're doing it. Now, this is a few hours later, and I have just collected my sun prints from outside. And as I mentioned before, you can see where I weighted this down with the rocks. That's part of the sun print now. And I'm gonna take off all of the tape and pieces that I taped down, so that will reveal the final print. So then you'll get to see how the prints turned out. And you may need to be careful when you're taking the tape off. I'm noticing it taking a little bit of the paper with it, but if you do it slowly, you should see these shadows, as we were calling them, of what you had taped down. So here is the piece of the stem that I had from the dandelion. These are the dandelion heads. And once I take all of this off, the pattern of that sun print will be revealed. I'm curious how it also turned out on the orange piece of paper. So I'm gonna take off some of these so we can check that out and see if one page worked better than the other. What I'm noticing is that where I had the bough from, actually I think I made a mistake and said spruce earlier. I'm pretty sure it was a fir tree bough. It must have been moving around because the print is not as strong. You can see the shape of that fir bough there, but it's not as strong of a print as here. And I suspect that's because it was moving around in the wind. I had only taped it at the bottom, and so it didn't have as much structure. It wasn't in one place for the few hours that I left it outside, but it gives it just a little fainter of an image. So this is the sun print process, and from here you can take paint or colored pencils or crayons, markers, anything you want to this. If you want to then add some creatures into the grasses, or I could add some stars or clouds up here where I've got these little sunbursts from the dandelions. I hope you have a lot of fun with this project and do it a bunch, because it's always a little bit different when you're working with the elements, especially the wind and the sun outside. Thanks so much for joining me, and please check out other videos and share them with your friends and family at steamboatcreates.org/classes, and subscribe to the Steamboat Creates YouTube channel so you'll be the first to know when we add a new video. Hope you have a great day. Bye.